See what this is about, chat.
Did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. Pirate says, okay, what is the alt account? Kronos replies, serendipitous bean, where's the beef? And then below that, he says, didn't mention this to the mods either. Now the challenge is to clear the queue. We were actually able to receive an archived VOD of this stream. As a matter of fact, if I go ahead and jump over here to 726, we're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What?
So this is him pulling it up on stream here, and I'll just go ahead and let the rest of it play as you guys will see.
What? He alt-tabbed by accident to show off his screen? Oh my god. What a loser.
See that this is indeed pirate software. The information that I'm going to be presenting to you guys in this video is going to, at a bare minimum, showcase yet another example of pirate software being incredibly scummy, or it could also include pirate software breaching the terms of service of Twitch, or at its worst, could actually spell legal consequences for pirate software. Now, at the time of recording this, I've spoken to a lawyer, and I'm actually going to be including a few clips from our conversation that we had, as I think they're useful for this video. But I'm also going to be creating an update video where I go much more in depth with this lawyer after we fully go through the details of all the information that we've gathered. Through other people, we've also been able to get in touch with someone who works at Twitch to go over this possible alleged terms of service being broken at Twitch. I should also make it very clear that the legal ramifications are not going to be gone in full depth here, and they are just alleged right now. I'm not saying that he has broken any laws yet, but there is potential. But with this oversized preamble out of the way, let's get into the video. Now, this all starts late one night just a few days ago, when somebody in my Discord, shout out to CK, ends up sending in a screenshot of this tweet. This tweet comes from Guy, and they say Pirate Software accidentally revealed his DMs with Kronos during the April 1st Twitch Giga Train, showing that they were boosting it themselves. This is why the stream is unavailable to watch. And here we have this screenshot. I want to make it clear at this point, this is the only thing that we have in regard to this situation. So let's take a look at that screenshot. Now, in this screenshot, it is Pirate wearing a banana costume, or excuse me, a long lemon. And he's on Discord here, and it looks like he must have accidentally pulled up this Discord interaction that he was having with Kronos. That's his lead moderator. Reading off the messages here, the first one from Kronos is, Pirate responds, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return if you need to save it. Kronos says, bits rather than tier 3s? Pirate responds, tier 3s might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? Kronos says, I've done 100 tier 1s on my personal, ready to do 40 tier 3s on an alt, can do bits instead or both. Then Kronos says, did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. Pirate says, okay, what is the alt account? Kronos replies, serendipitous bean, where's the beef? And then below that, he says, didn't mention this to the mods either. Now the challenge is to clear the queue. So that's a lot to throw at you at once, and we're gonna pick it apart as we go over this video, but what is going on here? Now, to preempt this, some people might know that Twitch uses this thing called a hype train. Essentially, the more you get donations or gifts in a short amount of time, it raises the level of this hype train. And when you pass certain benchmarks, people unlock things. For instance, last year on April 1st, back in 2024, Twitch's hype train record smashed again by Pirate Software. And they go into detail about Pirate breaking the Twitch hype train world record, with his channel reaching level 106 on April 1st. Once the hype train was initiated, it took Hall roughly 3 hours to beat his previous level 55 world record from December, with viewers contributing 54,380 gifted subs, along
still, this is a very impressive feat to begin with.
Alongside regular subscriptions and 8.2 million bits, likely earning Hall a healthy 6-figure sum in the process. And he goes into a bit more detail. Hype trains, a feature that Twitch launched in 2020, are a limited time event triggered when a channel receives an uptick in bits or subscriptions, pushing past a streamer designated threshold. And you can see here that the people that were a part of this hype level 100 train,
and he got shouted out by Twitch for doing this,
were given the Kappa Infinite emote dropping in chat for Hype Train participants. I wanted to show this because it'll be important later, but Vedal is a name of a VTuber who ended up beating that record and getting to a 111 level Hype Train. And this is what Pirate Software had to say when they found out their record was broken.
So Vedal broke the Hype Train record. Vedal's record is now level 111, and that's wild. I think that's freaking incredible, to be honest with you. With help from Valorant, I mean, yeah. So during that Hype Train, they got an extra 19,000 subs from Valorant, which is wild, like absolutely wild. So I think they ended up with something like 80,000 subs. Our Hype Train was 54,000 subs, but you guys had given 8 million bits, and that was kind of the difference between the two. No, there's no cheating. No, don't try to diminish what they did at all. I think Vedal is an amazing content creator. I think Neurosom is cool as shit.
So that specific part about cheating, what do you think that Pirate means by that cheating? He said, no, let's not take that away. I don't think there was cheating. Don't diminish that. I would assume that cheating in terms of building up a Hype Train would maybe be to artificially inflate it yourself, by chance coordinating with a mod of yours, maybe your head mod, to keep a Hype Train alive. I would say that myself. Could be wrong, interested to hear what you guys think, but let's continue on. And to make it clear, we're not contesting his 106 level Hype Train that happened back in April of 2024. I have no reason to believe that there were any shenanigans involved with his 106 world record breaking one, as I don't have any evidence of that. And regardless of your understanding of his pattern of behavior, anything like that, I'm not making that allegation myself. I'm not saying anything about that specific achievement. We're talking about this year, April 1st, 2025. Now, I think one of the most important parts about this is validating that this is a real screenshot. And how are we going to do that? Because as it stands right now, Pirate Software had removed the YouTube VOD, and as well as the Twitch VOD ends up deleting itself after 60 days. And I think we hit that threshold. Now, this leak could be the reason that this ended up getting taken down, this VOD, but there's another potential reason as to why, and it actually comes from that head moderator that you saw in the screenshot, Kronos. Now, I had replied to Guy, and I'm actually going to show you two different ones. Guy actually posted this screenshot in a couple of other places. I said, hey, where were you able to find this? Would like to get some more info on this. And then they replied, it's my own screenshot from the stream, ex-subscriber. And so I said, could you send me a screenshot of where that file is in your folder, just so we can see a timestamp of that picture? I know that's weird, but the more info we have, the more we can validate this. And I give my Discord. Well, Kronos replied back, and you guys might recognize this phraseology here. You could have asked me about this one had you reached out. Well, I couldn't reach out to Kronos unless I added him and then he accepted my friend request on Discord, since we don't share a mutual server, which means I can't just message him even if we aren't friends. But he goes on to say, I've spoken about this before, but I guess the truth isn't as compelling. Kronos VII on Discord. VOD was removed to prevent a 2025 repeat of people watching the 2024 video and messaging donators, myself included. Now, I should note that I also said, if you could send me your January comments relating to this, I'd love to have them. Also, sent you a friend request on Discord. That was 12 hours ago. He still has not added me back, still waiting on that response. But I think to remain charitable here, the VOD was removed to prevent a 2025 repeat of people watching the 2024 video and messaging donators. Let's just go with that. Now, Kronos made another reply, and I want to highlight this. He said this before. In January, during the WoW drama, people contacted me and others about donating during the Hype Train record in 2024. This year, I did less from my main and did some on an alt. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a bit confused about this message. People contacted me and others about donating during the Hype Train record in 2024. I think he's saying that in the same fashion that they were people harassing donators in the last one back in 2024, he didn't want to have the same issue, so he donated and wanted to make donations from that alternate account. Now, based on how I'm reading this, and again, I could be wrong, maybe I'm misunderstanding what Kronos said, but he said that
some of you guys need a little bit of a recap of what's happening. So there's this new Pirate Software drama where he got, in quotations, caught and artificially buffing his Hype Train record he had. So Pirate Software had a Hype Train record, and he is seen here in cahoots in this screenshot with his head moderator coordinating gifting subs from an alternate account and stuff like that.
He did do 100 tier 1.
Clearly, Pirate Software is talking to him in DMs here, saying some shit. Like tier 3s might be better, don't know. Bits 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? And this screenshot leaked because he leaked it himself. He alt tabbed, and when that happens, It shows all your screenshots or the conversation you're having.
Ones on his personal. Now, if you have an issue with people harassing you and you end up using an alt, I would figure
Why does Shrimp not do this for you? Because he's a fucking brokey.
that you would probably send most of the donations through that alt account, but sending 100 separate tier 1 subs, or maybe they were grouped in 5s, 25, maybe did it all at once, that's still putting your name up there. That's still going to get people to message you. So, I mean, having the VOD deleted afterwards is going to solve all of it regardless, so you shouldn't have to worry about if you donated it using your personal account. The VODs have been wiped. I just wanted to make sure I went through both of his messages. I'm not trying to cherry pick here, but let's move on to how we were able to confirm that this existed in the first place. Number one, Kronos is not refuting it, but more importantly, number two, we were actually able to receive an archived VOD of this stream. Now I'm about to show you guys an archived VOD of this exact stream where we're able to prove
Why is he
that
only
those
on my
leaked
left
DMs
ear?
showed up in this stream. Now at the time that I first showed this and the first time that I had found it in my Discord, is that's where it was sent in, I didn't know who had archived this, but I want to give credit to the individual who had this archived VOD, and that is Scorpion from MK on Kiwi Farms. And I want to apologize that I did not know this going into my stream. Again, you deserve full credit for this, and I genuinely really appreciate that you have this VOD. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this solid proof to back up this screenshot that we had found, so thank you. Here it is in all of its glory. It is 11 hours and 59 minutes and 57 seconds to the best of my knowledge.
That screenshot is not faked. So Pirate Software can't go back in the DMs to delete everything like he did with that furry allegation that happened a couple of months ago, where he then went back and deleted everything in that furry combo that he had. Pirate Software can't do this because this is...
This stream was 12 hours long. So they usually do that 11-hour 55 cut. So we have the entire thing, and it's not super relevant to be missing those last couple of minutes because we have everything we need here. As a matter of fact, if I go ahead and jump over here to 7:26, we're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about.
I wished I could place my head between them and go full burr mode and make...
What?
So this is him pulling it up on
just fucking leaked the chat.
stream here, and I'll just go ahead and let the rest of it play, as you guys will see that this is indeed Pirate Software. You can see his messages between Kronos, the ones that we were just showing you, and then you're going to watch him go ahead and delete the text-to-speech that he just heard.
What? What is this? Where is it? I'm gonna find this. I need to find your message. God damn it, click. Click, you garbage machine. What? Who are you? Why are you like this? Number 420. Deleted.
He played it pretty cool,
Jesus
though.
Christ.
Now, number one, as far as I'm concerned,
He
I think
played it
that's
off
aptly
pretty cool.
proving that, yes, this is indeed Pirate Software. He's going through, he deleted the text-to-speech, you heard him talking about it, and he had the authority to delete that message. Now, the other thing I found interesting about this little chain of events here is that he quickly switches to a different DM after he realizes that this is on screen, and that happens before he goes to his Discord. And he looks a bit panicked, but that, again, I'm speculating here, right?
What? What is this? Where?
He jumps over to this one.
Yeah, like... he clearly knew he fucked up. Because he jumped straight into another DM to remove this DM from being on top. Instead of what he was going to do, which was go into his Discord. This is not by mistake. He didn't mistakenly click on a different user's DMs. He was purposefully trying to think quick on the spot. He clicked on a different DM so he could remove the other DM. Then he went into his Discord.
First to, clear so you guys can't see what he's saying to Kronos, and that's when he starts looking for his server.
Is it? I'm gonna find this. I need to find your message. God damn it, click.
So now that we've confirmed that this really does exist, it existed on that VOD, let's take a look at that screenshot again. So this specific bit up here, let me know if you do. Bits is going to be the best way to do it due to the return if you need to save it. Bits rather than tier 3s. Tier 3s might be better, don't know. Bits is 82% return when you buy them in bulk. Have you bought any yet? Now my leading theory here, specifically with that 82% number that Thor is throwing out, has to do with the conversion rate when you get bits into a Twitch stream. Now as you can see here, when your viewers perform and confirm an action that requires...
Was this recent or people going back and digging up shit? No, this was not recent. This was last year maybe. April last year.
Bits within the extension...
Wait, or April this year.
On your channel page, you'll earn 80% of 1 US cent per bit used, and the remaining 20% is shared with the extension developer. So here's that 80%, but let's do a little bit of that math. So
Jammers, thank you so much for the prime 9 months.
Taking a look here, I just took a screenshot, went into a Twitch stream, went to the bits, and you can actually get a 12% discount at 25,000 bits. So that puts you at a $308 price tag. And to make this a bit easier to understand, one of my buddies here actually created this here, so special thanks to them, but we're showing that 82%. So bit is 82%.
So the reason why this is a thing is because, well, number one, everyone hates Pirate Software right now. The only people that don't hate him are people that he's managed to get them to drink his Kool-Aid. Pirate Software doesn't look like a nice dude. Sure, he might have some really good intentions with the whole like shelter thing, which by the way, I think is just a cover up anyways, but that's just my own personal feelings. The reason why this is coming up is because it's cool to hate Pirate Software right now. But also, this is illegal. This has some it could have some legality. Some legal consequences.
Buy them in bulk. What he means is, if you spend $308 to buy 25,000 bits, donate them, the streamer gets $250. And then of course Twitch takes its fee, that 20% being $58, which means that $250 is the money going out, like to the streamer, and $308 is the money that you put into the system to give that $250 to the streamer. That's how you end up getting a return on your money of 81.1.6. Now there is that 0.84%, discrepancy between this 81% and 82% the Pirate's referencing, but I think that that is a safe enough margin of error when we're talking about this. But all of that math is to show that this 82% return when you buy them in bulk is referencing that they are receiving 82% of the
money laundering vibes. And it's all rolling down because of the World of Warcraft raid. Yeah.
funds that are used in these donations, meaning that 82% is going to Pirate Software, which would then in turn, and I think the only reason Pirate Software is talking about this return is because that money would be going back to Kronos. So not only would he be able to donate to this hype train and help it out, which he literally admits to, as we see in these messages here. Right down here he says, did 50k bits at 20 seconds left. But they're also trying to save as much overhead as possible and get it back to Kronos without bleeding as much money. Now I'm sure there's a potential for another reason for them to have been talking in this way. That is my best guess based on the information that I was able to pull about the bits, percentage of what goes to the creator, what ends up going to Twitch. Interested to hear what you guys think if anyone understands these systems a bit better. Now another wrench in this point is the fact that Kronos lives in the UK, so we don't know for sure if he's using that or, the currency where he lives. And that could play a factor since the price of bits is different based on where you're from. Now we're about to get into where this could potentially break terms of service with Twitch and some of that potential legal aspect to this. But first I want to go over that alt account that Kronos is referencing. Now this is that serendipitous bean account. It does exist on Twitch. Moreover, if we go over and look at the overview for this profile, and that's over here on Twitch Tracker, we can see that the account was created April 1st of 2025, which would line up with the timeline of
the account was created on that day.
Having this alt account created on the same day that this stream was recorded. And then going back here, we can see Kronos referencing what his alt account name is and saying, where's the beef? Now, this is important. As a matter of fact, still in Pirate's Discord, there are these answered TTS from 3 months ago, which lines up with that time frame. And here we can see, probably the one that I'm specifically referring to here is my favorite ferret is beef, because where's the beef? So I think it's pretty safe to say we can tell that this is Kronos, since he literally said verbatim, where's the beef in the Discord messages between him and Pirate. So we know for a fact that Pirate has seen, can confirm, and knows that Serendipitous Bean is Kronos' alt account. Not only that, but we have something super cringe. So that was the first Twitch text-to-speech. And we can actually kind of attribute that maybe Pirate didn't know that that was the alt at the time that that text-to-speech went out. But we do know for a fact that the second text-to-speech that was sent out by Serendipitous Bean, Pirate knew full well that it was Kronos. That's going to make the second clip I'm about to play you that much more painful to watch. So here's that where's the beef text-to-speech here.
Serendipitous Bean with 25,000 bits said my favorite ferret is beef because WHERES the beef.
So that was the first one sent from Kronos, and this is the second one.
Serendipitous Bean with 50,000 bits said IRL friend of Kronos and excited that they are now free from corporate.
I know.
Love your stream and what you do for people here. There aren't many cool or supportive streamers left.
Oh my god, bro. The RP in this. Oh my god. Don't tell me that Pirate Software is going to play along with this as well. The glazing. Oh my god. Talk about a paid chatter.
Once they get big like this, stay cool, bud, and tell Kronos that Ben sends their regards.
I'm sorry you had to know Kronos in real life, just like me.
500 bits said when his Yar pregnant.
Hey, he's actually pretending. Because he knows this is Kronos. So he's pretending that he's speaking to him about Kronos. But he knows it is Kronos. This guy is a phony. I am so glad people are catching on to his fucking phoniness.
I'm sorry you had to know Kronos in real life,
with
just like me.
500 bits said, when is Yar pregnant man going to be real?
He had to do a little glazing for his boss, but oh my god, that was painful, knowing now that that is actually Kronos. But now lastly, over here at the bottom, didn't mention this to the mods either, so this wasn't, you know, planned amongst all the other mods, but then right below that says, now the challenge is to clear the queue. Now what's this clearing the queue? Well, there's actually an answer, and this is in the form of one of Pirate Software's shorts.
What's the TTS queue and wait time? So every time somebody donates to do a TTS, I actually have a system, and you can see it goes into this queue. Every time I hit this button, like this, it eats
Amf cheer 500 loving war with insofar as a warlock.
But yeah, your message then goes into Discord. It actually has a timestamp here to show where that's going on, so you can click on it, and it works, right? And then if I don't get to your message by the end of the stream, it goes into debt.
For free,
and right now, we've given $56,805 to charity since November of last year.
I'm waiting.
If I don't
I'm waiting
answer
for the
your message,
glaze.
I don't deserve the money, so we pay it to charity.
So I think that's all that you specifically need to know. Now we understand that every TTS that doesn't get cleared through the queue, meaning Pirate ends up playing it for the stream, that ends up all getting donated to charity. And it seems like Kronos is well aware of that fact. And so now the challenge being to clear the queue means that they want to make sure that they get through everything so that none of it gets donated to charity. Now that could be nefarious, but also at the same time, I think the goal is that he does want to read through them all because he wants to, you know, appreciate the people that have been sending the money to him. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure their goal is to get through every single one of those text-to-speeches, and inevitably, you know, they will end up donating some to charity because they might not be able to get through all of them in a single stream. And it ends up being that if they don't read it, ends up going to charity. So I don't really see an issue per se with that. Some people could take it that way. I don't think I necessarily need to make that argument because I think there's a reasonable understanding that, of course, the goal is to clear the queue every time. And it's not just because it's all going into their pockets, although that's the main reason, but they do also just want to respect the viewers that have sent their money in. But now let's talk about that Twitch terms of service and if this is breaching that terms of service. Now this hinges on the hypothesis that Kronos is getting paid back by Pirate through these bit donations that he did. He did 75,000 bits in total, so $750. Now, of course, there was a little bit less due to that 12% discount, but that's the ballpark here. And again, reached out to see if someone from Twitch can actually better clarify if any terms.
Oh my lord! 5 gifted subbies. Oh my lord.
of service were broken. So at this moment, this is all just speculation, and I don't have any other confirmation.
Chad,
now, what I'm showing you guys here is from Twitch's legal Bits Acceptable
myself.
Use Policy. Now, I'm just going to read the title of this area that I'm going to be reading from. Bits cannot be directly exchanged for items or services of value. Now, that's specifically
bits cannot be directly exchanged for items of service of value.
Directly exchanged is a bit, convoluted here since it's going directly to the stream, but then supposedly, potentially, Kronos will be getting paid back. The front line reads, don't engage in an exchange of bits for items or services that typically are associated with a cost or value. Communities can gather to achieve a goal that unlocks a benefit or experience for the community, explained further below. Creators can announce benefits in response to individual cheers. However, in each of those scenarios, the activity does not provide a return of anything of value. And down here explicitly, it says, now the don'ts that constitute violations of this policy. Don't solicit bits in exchange for money or donations, and don't request money or donations for bits. Now, this doesn't work because Pirate is not saying, hey, we're giving you guys money if you give me bits, and it's also not Kronos requesting money for those donations. But if we come down here, we can see this specific point here: selling, offering to sell, trading, bartering, or transferring bits to other users of Twitch in exchange for real or virtual currencies. Now, this, we could make the argument that the selling, or I should say offering to sell or transferring bits to other users of Twitch in exchange.
I mean, this last part is a little bit too speculative. It's like if Shrimp, my moderator, if I coordinated for him, he was already going to donate to my stream for a subathon. He just wanted to know the best way to do it. So it doesn't really imply that I was going to pay Shrimp back anything. It just means that this moderator, Pirate Software's moderator, could have already had the intentions to donate a certain amount. Everything else is just assumption. Like, who knows if Pirate Software actually paid the moderator back?
Exchange for real currency would be the equivalent of
Kronos. We probably wouldn't know none of that unless they went back and checked their bank statements.
Donating those bits to Pirate's stream, knowing that he's getting this, as we talked about, that 82% return. Or I should say that 82% return is going to Pirate. That assumption being that this return of 82% is for Pirate so that he can get back to him and lower their overhead costs. Now, again, there is nothing directly stating outright you cannot, as like a moderator or an employee for a streamer, donate bits to get that money back afterwards. There's no specific ruling on that, or not at least that I've seen from the research that I put together, or that any research with people that I've worked with making.
Kind of reaching that it's fraud or TOS, but it's still super cringe and fake for this his viewers. Yeah, I think it's a lot of assumptions here, but the way they do talk about it, it does. I wouldn't say it's a reach when they're talking about percentages and returns. When they're actually talking about the percentages and returns, that there means that That they have had a conversation about this money.
in this video have found themselves. Now, other examples of this Twitch terms of service
why would they do that? Right? It's like me and Shrimp. If I was trying to organize something like this with Shrimp because Shrimp wanted to donate from the kindness of his heart, we wouldn't be deliberating what is the percentage return. Because he wouldn't care about that. Because he's trying to do it. I'm not trying to pay him back. So the conversation about a return rate shouldn't even be there if this wasn't previously discussed.
Potentially being broken here has to come from spam, scams, and other malicious conduct. And listed below in For Example You May Not, it includes this part here about engage in viewership tampering, such as artificially inflating follow or live viewer stats. Now, my expert armchair analysis, I would look at that and go, okay, well, they were seemingly based off of, Kronos directly saying, I added those 50k bits with 20 seconds left. It sounds like he is artificially, with coordination from Pirate Software, keeping the hype train going, which may look like natural engagement, which may incentivize.
This is true, though. This last bit is true.
Seemingly based off of, Kronos directly saying, I added those 50k bits with 20 seconds left, it sounds like he is artificially, with coordination from Pirate Software, keeping the hype train going, which may look like natural engagement, which may incentivize other people to donate to the hype train because they want to build it up, because there's a potential that they unlock this emote or they unlock other rewards in the progression of leveling up this hype train. I think this might also contribute to the cheat the Twitch reward system, in which case I think maybe you can make that argument, but at the same time, the alternate account that he would have been donating.
Engage in viewership tampering, such as artificially inflating followers or live viewer stats. This is a live viewer stat, the hype train.
These bits on wouldn't
cheat the Twitch reward system.
Really be cheating that Twitch reward system, since he would be receiving the rewards from it. Again, that's more like incentivizing other people that would naturally donate. They would be more likely to donate if you were getting closer to one of those goals. And they got closer to that goal by artificially inflating the train. Pyrocynical is going to have a heyday with this video if he ever reacts to it. Now, the last big TOS thing that I have here is under prohibited conduct here. Specifically here under II, it says impersonate any person or entity, or falsely claim an affiliation with any person or entity. Now, technically, Kronos impersonated someone that was friends with Kronos. I think that's a really lame technicality, but at the end of the day, he did pretend to have a friend, which is kind of funny. But more specifically, in the second part of this II here, it says misrepresent the source.
Why did he even do it? Just to break the record and some coverage? Why risk it for this? Well, some people want to appear better than they are, always. And it's very great promotion. Twitch tweeted it. Twitch acknowledged Pirate Software's record. Twitch, everybody was talking about it. He must have gotten over 100,000 followers just that day. There was so much that he gained from it.
Identity or content
that he gained from it.
Information transmitted via the Twitch services. I would say by using an alternate account and not disclosing that to the public.
Super good advertisement.
That was viewing the stream would count as misrepresenting the source and identity of the person donating. But all of these potential breaks in the terms of service could mean absolutely nothing. Now, I spoke with the lawyer that had actually worked with private parts.
When did it even happen? April 1st.
Received a cease and desist from Pirate Software in regard to his video game, including Pirate Software's voice in it. Now, I spoke with him a little bit about this specific point, and he had some really interesting information to provide in regard to the fact that Pirate Software might have a different contract with Twitch that would supersede the terms of service that would typically apply as a blanket for most people that are streaming on Twitch.
There's another layer here too, right? Okay, so there's the terms of service that most of us are going to have available to us, but someone like him, he may have a different terms of service that we don't get to see. He may have a separate individual contract. He got a separate written agreement that says literally on it, Twitch terms of service are superseded by our written agreement. You may only think, and Twitch may allow you to think, because that seems more fair. That seems like more fair for gamers if the rules are all the same for everybody. But no, they don't have to tell you that. Nobody has to tell you that. So he has, and I would be kind of surprised, actually, if he didn't have a separate agreement that said, those terms of service do not apply except to this extent, or superseded except to this. I mean, if I were him, I would want to have a separate agreement, and his agreement might, it's possible. Who knows? We don't know what his contract is. We can talk theoretically about what Twitch's terms of service, how it would apply if it applies to him. But we honestly don't know. And that kind of thing honestly is not that uncommon in the real business world. Like when it comes to real business and you're dealing with real large amounts of money, people have individual there's contracts of adhesion, we call them, are the ones that ordinary users can't change. Ordinary users have no opportunity to change. But when you get into like where real money is changing hands, people don't do contracts of adhesion.
For how long?
That's why you have lawyers. You negotiate these things. They are negotiated. He may have had it so that this doesn't even apply at all. It's not like he's expressly allowed to, but it's just the prohibitions that would normally prohibit this do not apply. And maybe Twitch doesn't even give a fuck.
Sure.
Like, what's their downside? They're still getting paid, right?
Right.
So the only downside would be if it looks real bad.
But now let's specifically tackle legality. Like, US law is what he did illegal. Based off the information that I have now, it's very, very shaky at best. And I say that because it's the information that I have right now. Now, in a future video here, probably within the next few days, I'm going to be having a full-on conversation and go really in depth about the details of this with the lawyer I was just showing you guys clips from. And I think through that, I'm going to have a much better answer for you. But as of right now, when we're focusing on the legal aspect of this, looking at US law, the first thing that I want to point out is I don't think that this is like money laundering. I think it's kind of scummy that he's using Kronos and him using his alternate account to make these donations to artificially grow the train. But specifically with that last part, not
I personally don't think that there is any ground here. I don't think anything would come of this, but it does show more of his personality and why so many people dislike him now.
Not about money laundering, but based off of the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC, this could be considered a deceptive business practice or deceptive act. So I'm pulling this information directly from the Federal Trade Commission Act, Section 5, unfair or deceptive acts or practices. Now I'm just showing you where this is in the document. I'm gonna pull up a screenshot because it's easier to zoom in. We're focusing on this part here, deceptive acts and practices, assessing whether an act or practice is deceptive. Now you may see that there's a little line here indicating that's where my mouse was. No, I did not edit this, and I'll leave a link in the description to this so that you can verify that yourself. I'm gonna read this part off here. There must be a representation, omission, or practice that misleads or is likely to mislead the consumer. An act or practice may be found to be deceptive if there is a representation, omission, or practice that misleads or is likely to mislead the consumer. It goes on to say deception is not limited to situations in which a consumer has already been misled. Instead, an act or practice may be found to be deceptive if it is likely to mislead consumers. And then right down here below, omission of information may be deceptive if disclosure of the omitted information is necessary to prevent a consumer from being misled. Now you can make the argument that the fact that they are not being transparent about the fact that Kronos is the person who is donating these, as he's using this alternate account, serendipitous beam, people don't recognize that this is artificial inflation. The fact that they were referencing that they were a friend with Kronos in real life. Now they're trying to create what looks to be organic growth, it seems like, by not telling people the truth of this. And I would say that if people knew this fact, then it could lead them to make a different decision when it came to donating to Pirate Software for this hype train. Again, that hinges on how people would react to knowing that information, and we don't know that. Moreover, I'm not a fucking lawyer. See, I can admit that. And so I don't really know how much you could really get away with this, or if any other letter of the law is going to push against this specific argument when it comes to Twitch and receiving donations on a streaming service. And I'm kind of making this specific point in conjunction just below what we just read. It continues on to say this: the act or practice must be considered from the perspective of the reasonable consumer. In determining whether an act or practice is misleading, the consumer's interpretation of or reaction to the representation, omission, or practice must be reasonable under the circumstances. The test is whether the consumer's expectations or interpretation are reasonable in light of the claims made. And this part specifically is something that I found interesting, but I'm just kind of speculating here. So it says, when representations or marketing practices are targeted to a specific audience, such as the elderly or the financially unsophisticated, the standard is based upon the effects of the act or practice on a reasonable member of that group. So we would ask that question, a member of that group being a Twitch viewer who is potentially willing to donate to a streamer. How would the information knowing that Kronos was using this alternate account to help inflate the train and keep it moving along, how would that impact a reasonable viewer of that stream? If I saw that a train was getting closer to a certain goal and I saw that it kept moving up, I would be more inclined to donate, seeing that what I think to be natural growth. If I knew that it was artificial, I would be less inclined to donate to it because that feels scummy. But I mainly think that it feels scummy because it's deceptive. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up for this video has to do with the potential defense that I see coming out, because I saw this YouTube short talking about how Pirate at the start of each month will donate a bunch of subs to his community.
Twitch is paying me a lot of money to run ads. I've accepted this deal, but I hate ads. So how do we fix this? I take half of this money and I turn it into tier 1 subs for you, which is over 200 subs, and then I gift those to the community. So all the people that get those 200 plus subs don't have any ads for the entire month. But since I gifted half of this, 39% of a tier 1 sub comes back to me. And Twitch still pays me a bunch of money on top of that, so I actually make about $1,700, which is more money than I make in a month normally. And also none of you get to watch ads.
So yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I don't think it matters. I really personally don't care too much about that. I do think that it helps build an image on who he is as a person, but I didn't need to be confirmed by this. I already had this. I already had my own idea of who this Pirate Software fella is a long time ago. But yeah, in case there needed more proof as to why people are slowly or quickly disliking him as a person, there goes another example right there. Did you guys know his name is not even Thor? He just named himself that.
Ugh, you're still here. Well, I guess just hit that subscribe button, yeah? Come on. Don't make me say it again. Please?